Well, this is the time that we discuss the best of government. We all know that government is responsible for keeping our lives safe, protected, and providing all types of financial resources to make sure that we are stable in our lives. So, how can we choose from such a pool of great organizations and people? And in this episode, we are going to talk about both those who are elected and organizations that are involved in keeping our lives stable in government. I'm a public administrator. I'm Constance Love Johnson, and I'm always researching to find out what's going on in our political process. This political process involves voting to make sure we elect the most viable people, and it also involves putting organizations together to keep people focused on the issues that are most important to us. So let's get started. What I'm doing is I'm going from federal to local, federal, state, local, to pick the top 5 organizations or people that have made a significant difference in our lives. Now let's talk about it. Okay? So let's start with federal congressional. Let's focus on Nancy Pelosi. Now, this is not a good time for Nancy because her husband was just attacked physically by some fool that is focused on hurting her through hurting her husband. We have these kinds of fanatics in our society that feel as if they can influence our leaders by attacking their spouses and their children. We need to find these people and put them where they belong in prison. And I know that we're going to find that perpetrator that harmed Nancy Pelosi's husband. This is the Speaker of the House. And who is most brave? Who is more brave and courageous than Nancy Pelosi, male or female? Nobody. So let's go ahead and try to protect her and make sure that her children and her spouse are where they belong and have the right to live in this society with protections. And now we know, as we learned from Lincoln, Lincoln's murder, that we have to protect our elected officials. So let's put Nancy Pelosi up there with her just immense, enormous courage and her love of our nation and her steadfast dedication to the protection of our lives. Nancy Pelosi is number 1 in the federal government. I would say the second is the Black Political Caucus, the Congressional Black Political Caucus, the CBC. I am very proud of the CBC. The CBC represents my rights and liberties in this country when no one else will. When people automatically assume that I'm supposed to be last and I'm supposed to be not acknowledged, I'm just supposed to be giving information, and my information is supposed to be used in the top and the highest ranks of government and in business, and I'm not supposed to get a freaking dime for it. This is when the Black Political Caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus, steps in and says, you will pay her now, and create all kinds of legislation to protect me and my rights. This is what I love about them. And they do not hesitate to get it done. Yay for the Congressional Black Caucus, CBC. You are all that in a cookie. I love you. Keep up with this great work you're doing, and we love you across the country. Don't think that we're ignoring you because you don't get the likes. It's just Zuckerberg and those folks blocking your votes and blocking your likes online and social media. We love you, and we are always looking at you and learning what direction to take when we face these issues from folks who don't want us here and don't want us to progress. We will progress through you. I know we will. Thank you so much. The next person that we need to acknowledge is Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is number 3. He is such an inspiration because he never tires in his work for people. And he really believes in the liberal way of the democratic system. In other words, he believes that women should have equal rights, that gays should have equal rights and should be acknowledged for their differences and for their opinions and issues. And he loves children and making sure that all children across the United States and all immigrants who enter this country are given equal rights in education and in business and in work as laborers. I love Chuck Schumer. Thank you so much for your work. We so appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Number 4, this is going to be different, but we are going to acknowledge the team that is focused on impeaching Donald Trump. We have to, come on, people. When you've been impeached twice as a president and all kinds of diseases evolved and all kinds of plagues, and there are too many issues that we were engaged in that caused us so many setbacks during that presidency that we have to accept that two impeachments is just too many. And I appreciate that impeachment team. I appreciate that congressional team that is accepting the truth about that presidency instead of focusing on party power, but focusing on quality, focusing on ability, focusing on unity and what transpired during that presidency. Come on. We had people being arrested for marching during that presidency. So many violations against everyday average people that we cannot allow that kind of behavior to return to our country. We have to understand that there's some people who just can't do it. We have people that don't have the leadership skill, but have the popularity, but don't have the leadership skill to keep our nation peaceful. I think Lincoln was a peacemaker. He brought so many people together. A war emerged, but it was for the freedom of people. This president, you know, Donald Trump caused so many setbacks in race relations that we have to acknowledge that he is not qualified. And I admire this team that will not relent on making sure that we're safe. I really admire them. Keep up the good work. And last but not least, Senator Liz Cheney. We really respect you. Women, minorities, people who understand justice, people who accept the Constitution and all that it represents when it comes to individual freedoms. We really respect you. When your party is aimed in the wrong direction, and it is, the Republican Party is supporting a presidency and supporting an agenda that does not in any way favor the Constitution or resemble the Constitution. I'm not against Republicans in general. I have, in some cases, voted for Republican candidates. I have. I'm more a moderate than I am anything else. So to observe a woman who says, I will represent the truth and I will represent what the Constitution stands for is a mighty powerful woman. She did not win her reelection in her district, but I'm telling you, or in her state, rather, she's a senator. That was a big mistake. It tells us that Liz Cheney's state cares more about power than about justice. And I respect Liz Cheney. Keep up the good work, Liz Cheney. Don't give up. come back. We're going to figure out a way to get you back in because you represent what we know is the truth. Statewide, state politics is an extremely powerful entity in the United States. We believe that President Biden is the last word, but these governors, they get away with murder, and literally murder. And we have to sit by and watch these governors make decisions that cripple any work that the Biden administration wants to do because they have a majority Republican Party in the state that opposes the Biden agenda. I'm not saying that the Biden agenda is always perfect, but I'm saying that the effort of the Republican Party on a statewide basis has way more power than the Biden administration, and is causing great problems and setbacks all across the country. I'm watching even Democratic governors, like in North Carolina. Roy Cooper, this is my state. Roy Cooper is a governor in North Carolina that rides along with the Republican Party when it comes to race relations and is so adverse to freedom. He does not allow citizens to vote for who they want. He sets the agenda with the media, and nobody else is seen except the candidate he wants. That is injustice. That doesn't even represent a democracy at all. We have to change these types of efforts to block citizens from voting and allowing governors to just appoint people even in the electoral process. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. North Carolina doesn't even allow Black business owners to have contracts. We've got to stop this kind of power that governors exhibit that are completely unjust or unjust. I need for citizens to stand up when they see injustice and call it out and vote against those governors, those Democratic governors that oppose democratic people and democratic principles. We are now on number one, statewide. I believe Governor Gavin Newsom is one of the most talented governors in the country and should be on that pool of presidential candidates to run in 2024. I know most of you in California agree with me, and I know most of you across the country agree with me. So I'm asking you to consider Gavin Newsom for the presidency. He may decline, but I'm telling you, if I had to look at the qualifications and the work and the decisions that have been made by the governors, Gavin Newsom should be over the governors and should be president. Number two, the sad situation going on in Texas right now. We have Greg Abbott winning the election for the Texas gubernatorial race. And it is a sad situation. But we have to accept it because we are not powerful in Texas as Democrats. And people who are knowledgeable of the political process and care about immigration and those who need to come across the borders to fill these jobs that need to be filled by qualified and capable people who can run these businesses with great skill and authority because that's what they've done in their own countries. We need to let these immigrants come in to fill these opportunities, to fill these positions that keep our nation running smoothly. There are times when people advance in the country and we need positions filled and they have to be filled by immigrants. That's the truth. We don't want to acknowledge the truth. We want to say, no, we have enough Americans to fill those jobs. Well, all Americans are immigrants, unless you're filling it with a Native American. Remember, as we grow, we need new talent to make sure that the country flows in a good direction and that talent and skill is put in place and planted in places where we need qualified people to get those jobs done. And we learn from them. Sometimes we bring people into our country as immigrants to learn from them because they're so far ahead of us in technology, in manufacturing, and basic mathematics. It's sad to admit it, but our schools are not up to par to compete with other nations right now. And we have to bring other people in to get us ahead. And that's the truth. But I'm hoping that the educational system will allow me in to explain why these situations happen. And I'm hoping that Gavin Newsom can be a bit more intelligent than Roy Cooper and give me an opportunity to explain why our educational systems are not up to par. We're just not advanced in certain areas that will put us ahead of other nations because our systems are so primitive. We're still using the 1800s kind of system of education, and it's not working. So I hope that I'm given a good opportunity to educate the educators on new systems and new technological systems because I am always abreast. I stay abreast of exactly what is needed for our students to succeed and achieve with excellence in competing with other nations. I would say that Beto O'Rourke needs our attention right now. He's a brilliant young man, and he's far more talented in governance than Greg Abbott. Now, there is a lieutenant governor candidate that is running for um, the Alabama seat, and I want you to know that she's a libertarian. Her name is, I just lost her name because I'm always trying to. Ruth is so important to me. It's like the important name, that important name, Ruth. Ruth Page Nelson is her name. Ruth Page Nelson. Get behind Ruth Page Nelson. She is fighting with everything she has to win that seat of the lieutenant governor and of Alabama. And we really need her in that seat desperately right now. She even made a huge contribution to the Democratic Party to speak before their assembly or to speak before the assembling of the Democratic Party at their conventions to educate them on what skills she has to offer. So everyone in Alabama, please consider Ruth Page Nelson. I'm going to move on to the next number 4. There are 2, 4, and 5 focus on some of the projects that were completed in North Carolina. School First was the first online educator of children in North Carolina and across the country. The governors actually robbed me of that process, of School First process, and it took all the potential educational benefits from our children across the nation because they did not want to acknowledge that a Black woman created the online school system that they used during the pandemic. But I want you to know that this program was awarded by an outside agency that's outside of the educational system that focuses on valuable communication systems. And that effort and that uh, group of citizens that came together to put that program together and awarded this program were extremely important to our nation's communications with our parents, teachers, and students to keep them protected during the pandemic. And I want you to know that the Black Legislative American Caucus and School First did an excellent job with bringing the teachers the students and parents to an online program that taught parents a more in-depth understanding of how to educate their children at home. It did so many wonderful projects for the parents and teachers of the country, and we are very thankful for the group that came together to put that in place. We saved thousands and thousands of lives. We went unacknowledged by the gubernatorial system, by the governors. The governors completely ignored that group that put that project together. And the contract that was supposed to be given to them was a $200 million contract, and they completely ignored it and didn't pay them a dime. But I want you to know that these people worked diligently and did an excellent, excellent job. That's 4 and 5 on the state level. On the local level, I want to thank Eric Adams, New York mayor, for his consistent and dedicated work. He has so many new projects that are emerging that will make such a tremendous difference to New York. I want you to know and keep your eyes on Eric Adams. Also, Karen Bass of Los Angeles is leaving her congressional office and running for the mayor of Los Angeles. And that is a huge transition and will make a tremendous difference to Los Angeles. I am knowledgeable of Karen Bass's extremely qualified and capable work. She has made tremendous efforts when it comes to bill writing and making a difference for her district. And I know that she'll make a tremendous difference for Los Angeles. Los Angeles has to have change. There are enough tents in Los Angeles to flood to flood any state or any this Los Angeles is one of the largest cities we have. New York is the largest, of course. Los Angeles is almost as large as New York, and there are tents everywhere in Los Angeles because there's such a high percentage of homeless citizens in Los Angeles. Karen Bass will make a difference. If the answers could have been addressed by her opposition, they would be addressed, and they are not addressed. Karen Bass will address these issues. She is creative, dynamic, and she will inspire us to make a difference. Vote for Karen Bass for mayor of Los Angeles. We also have Andre Dickens. Have you noticed that Atlanta's problems have just subsided and it's gone quiet? That's because they have a new mayor, Andrew Dickens. Watch him. Keep your eyes on him. He is a powerful man. And Atlanta is moving in a good direction because of his leadership. Lori Lightfoot of Chicago has taken such a brutal attack. You know, she's a gay woman, gay black woman who has emerged as a very powerful entity in Chicago. And she takes all kinds of heat because of what she is and who she is, but she is a very powerful leader. And she is not easily turned around. She stands up to all opposition on all levels, and I see her moving into higher levels of government. And let's not forget about her great experience. She was an assistant U.S. attorney, chief administrator for the police department. She has such excellent experience. Lightfoot is a powerful woman. Give it to her. Give her her props. This sister is somebody who there's so many little quotes, little statements made about her, and she is up on the job, saying what she needs to say and doing what she needs to do to keep Chicago in order. And I'm very proud of Lightfoot. And this is somebody we'll always honor. I know we will. Last but not least, we are going to thank, on the local level, the entertainment industry. Those entertainers of California, of New York, of Atlanta, we're very proud of you, and we're very proud of how you stand up for what you believe is right. We have entertainers that stand up for gun control. We have entertainers that stand up for gun possession. We have entertainers that stand up for education, for our financial security. We are just blessed by the entertainment community, and I want to thank you for your your outspokenness and how you state what needs to be said when it comes to how our world is moving and the direction that we're moving in. Do not cease in your efforts to speak out and speak against injustice. We need you, we honor you, and we love you. And I know you call us fans. You know, I keep telling this great guy that I'm crazy about, Brad Pitt, that I am not a fan. I'm not a fanatic, but fans are adored in our age, in our decade, in our century. People who go out of their way to honor entertainers who do excellent work and keep us moving in a good direction from their artistry and from their topics that they focus on are so important to our society. Keep those films coming. Keep those words coming. We love you. And that is all. I should have been a little more comedic in this presentation, but it was actually done mainly to keep us focused on where we need to go. And in the next episode, I promise next year to be way more funny. Okay, I will. I promise. All right. But thanks so much for tuning in, and I look forward to all that we're going to do to keep our government focused on our needs, our incomes, our status when it comes to our unity. You know, how are we supposed to relate to each other as we move into technology? How are we supposed to fall in love? How are we supposed to build families? How are we supposed to build business and build our economies when we're not communicating, and when something is blocking us from communicating, when hacking is going on, when other countries are taking our boats away? We have a lot of work to do. And if we focus on the people who are doing the right things, that's what this program is about. We will succeed in moving everyone in the right direction. So let's do that, everybody. Let's focus on those folks who are doing the right things to move us in the right directions. Speak out, vote, make sure you put the right people in office that work, not just that look cute and not just that show up when it's time to be elected, but people who have concrete successes all throughout their terms. Okay? Let's do that. I love you. I will always serve you, regardless of what comes my way or what happens. You will find me serving you. Thank you so much. I love you. Remember that. All right. Constance Lov Johnson, wishing you a great rest of the year and great governmental leadership. Bye-bye.